Alrighty, Radio Rap Reel R3 podcast, quarter 3, covering the months of July, August, and September. Really amped. You got DJ Mayhem here alongside my boy
DJ X-Ray or the Duranman, man. Either one, take a pick.
Need the echo on that though. Ray. Love that. So sick. You still put that on your tracks?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, you should.
It's like on the latest one that you mixed for sure.
Nice. Got to keep it on there. All right. Well, yeah, this was an interesting couple of months for rap. I start to think about the year as a collective at this point. You know, we've got so many albums, and so it's so hard not to listen to something and then compare it to something earlier in the year, I think, a little bit, as far as where I rank albums in 2020. So when I was listening to things, I was definitely taking that perspective. I don't know about you, but do you feel the same way?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of like relating certain projects to what their equivalent would be in a different quarter, like you're saying.
Yeah, and
like
you know, if you were to give, because I think we talked about some awards, you know, mid-year awards last time. You know, who's the MVP in the rap game right now? Who had the best album? You know, I start listening to this. I'm like, okay, well, so and so had this album back then, and that was my favorite of the year, and it did something trump that.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of stuff that you can compare in like different categories, like you mentioned, and I definitely think there are a lot of sounds that you can compare and contrast with rappers from each quarter as well, and that's what keeps it exciting, is like not knowing if something's going to surprise you or disappoint you, or how things are going to change from time to time.
Yeah, for sure. I think, we've seen a lot of our favorite artists drop now this year. I think we'll talk. I want to wrap up this podcast with who we haven't seen from, what we're looking forward to into quarter 4. But, we did fill a lot of gaps this time around. We got something from Ferg. We got something from Tory Lanez, Big Sean. A couple other people have dropped twice, which is interesting. I think that puts you in another category for me if you drop twice this year. NLE Choppa, finally good to see him. Is that his debut album? I think that might be his debut album.
He's got so many Shada flows that it might not be.
And I think on this one, didn't he put Shada Flow 3, 4, and 5 on this album, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So on Spotify, it looks like he's got Cottonwood, his album from 2019.
Okay.
So he's got one other release.
So yeah, I mean, it was good to see him finally put some of those singles together onto an album. But yeah, why don't you have a few more albums that you were impressed with this time around? So why don't we actually start with you? Just because I think you have a little bit more content. I think I was a little bit more judgmental the past couple of months. So yeah, why don't you kick us off, man, with an album you really liked?
Sure. I mean, top of the list for me, definitely got to bring it up, is Detroit 2 by Big Sean.
Yeah.
It was just, I don't know, it was it had like a triumphant sound to it, and it was just what I like in rappers, which is just like a lyricism combined with like delivery and sound, and just checking off all the boxes, not lacking in one particular aspect heavily. So starting with like the first track, Why Would I Stop? It sounded epic. It had an orchestral sound to it. It's like Big Sean is back and better than ever. I re-listened to his last album, I Decided.
Yeah, I'm looking at. I was just about to bring that up.
And when I first heard Detroit 2, I was thinking like, man, this album might have trumped his last, which is like pretty huge. That doesn't happen often. The more I've heard it, though, I'm not sure I could say that, just because I think it's a little bit too long, which is very common, like just too many tracks on an album. I don't know.
And you really liked I Decided. I remember that.
I really liked I Decided, yeah. I mean, I like all of Big Sean's albums, but I Decided, I think, was a very particularly like deep evolution of Big Sean and his sound, and making tracks that are unique. It's the most important thing to me, I feel like, almost. Or one of the most important things is like is standing out, being memorable. Like we're not going to talk about it in a year or two if it wasn't impactful.
Mhm.
He definitely pulled that off, and I think he may have pulled it off with Detroit too. I think another standout track was the one with the Friday Night Cypher, whatever it was,
Okay,
with
yeah.
all the Detroit rappers. I think it's definitely worth bringing up. Obviously for me because Eminem showed up at the end, but also,
Mhm.
we had T Grizzly was like one of the opening verses. I think. I know Cash Doll is like a big Detroit MC.
42 Doug.
42 Doug, yeah.
He was the
Although,
other like guy that kind of impressed me on the track.
yeah, I thought actually Big Sean's verse on it was really cool. He went off for a while on it.
Hmm.
They had the beat switches and everything.
Tons of beat
Correct me if I'm
switches.
wrong, but did you hear Big Sean's voice crack when he did his really high pitched bit?
Hmm.
He had like a couple
I'm gonna
lines
have
that
to
were
go
really
back
high
and
pitched.
listen. I don't
I'm
remember
like,
that.
I feel like he should have re-recorded that line.
Yeah.
But it's still dope. It was still dope. And then and then Eminem bodied it at the end. I love the fact that Eminem's now been on 2 Big Sean albums. I think that's really
Yeah,
powerful.
let me chime in here for a second. Big Sean for me, I'm looking back at some of, his albums. He started off with Finally Famous in 2011, Hall of Fame 2013. I think at this point, Hall of Fame has aged long enough that, it's a top tier album.
Oh, it's a classic to me, yeah.
That
I'd
was
put that
awesome. A great moment for
favorite
his
albums
career.
of all time for sure.
Then he dropped Dark Sky Paradise, which I also really loved. A lot of great tracks on there. He's got a Wayne feature on there that was unbelievable. I love Platinum and Wood. That was a song that really stuck with me. I replay that all the way back from 2015.
Paradise
Then,
Extended is on that album,
yeah,
right?
Paradise, yeah,
That's
definitely,
that
so
might
good.
be my favorite like Big Sean song. It's definitely one of my favorites.
Yeah. And then, you know, I decided was in 2017 that wasn't my favorite album, but he also dropped, if you remember, he did the Metro Boomin collab album
Oh
that
yeah,
year,
yeah, yeah.
Double or Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
at that point, I still was like, okay, he's dropped something every 2 years. And even though I didn't think that the ones in 2017 were up to par with the other ones that he's released. I was like, okay, you put out 2 albums and they're both solid. So I
Yeah.
still put him in that A tier rapper list. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I personally put
Totally.
Sean with the Coles and
A
the
lot of people
Kendricks and
do.
the
Yeah.
Drakes of the world.
We Go
Then
Legend.
yeah, and then
Roland and Wreck. Yeah, that was a good album.
it was really I started to get worried about the guy because you know, you go from 2017, I'm waiting for an album. I'm like, okay, don't release anything in 2018. That's cool. 2019, still not hearing anything from you. Don't hear a lot of features from you.
Oh,
And
and
then
he doesn't do a lot of press either.
doesn't do a lot. And the press he was getting was a lot of relationship issues. You know what I mean?
Right.
I know he has that back and forth thing with Janae Aiko. It's not really like a defined relationship or whatever. But then, yeah, then finally we get Detroit 2, a follow up to Detroit. I remember listening to Detroit back in high school, his mixtape. You know what I mean? We just got it off of Dat Piff.
Mm-hmm.
And, we get this follow up. It's jammed packed with features. You could tell he was in. I would love to have seen the studio sessions for this
Oh,
album.
totally. That definitely
He's
stood
got
out a lot too. It's like I want to say there are more songs with features than without them. It's at least half,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. Like you said, it was a little long and there's some tracks that probably could have been cut.
Yeah.
But all in all, I really enjoyed this album. My favorite tracks were Why Would I Stop? Really loved
Mhm.
that. And
Why would I stop?
that
I am
that
unstoppable. It's pretty catchy.
great intro. But then the song, my
The
hands down
beat
favorite,
switches and everything. Yeah.
yeah, my hands down favorite song from the album is Respect It with Young Thug.
Really?
Sean, first of all, great chorus, gets me hyped, great beat. Sean
Mm-hmm.
comes in with a fire verse. Thug follows it, right? And then
Uh-huh.
the beats it's not like I feel like a lot of beat switches they go from like maybe like something soulful to something really hard. This was hard and then switched to another like even more aggressive beat. And Sean just comes back and following that Thug verse and just annihilates it. It just I already thought I was hyped already, and then he
Mm-hmm.
comes back with the third verse,
Oh yeah.
and I just really love that track.
Yeah, dude, Sean
I
was in the
think
zone on the album, and on
yeah,
each track, so he was in a really good headspace.
I think most people go to ZTFO, and that's a great track.
Yeah,
Travis obviously does his thing,
that
but
was really popular.
I think Respect It is the hottest track on there. I really love that one. So good.
I think in terms of like the hottest track, I would go with Wolves. Honestly, I think that's been
With
getting
Post
some
Malone?
popularity too
Yeah.
with Post Malone. Yeah, I just recently became a Post Malone fan. Like
Okay.
I've told
Yeah.
you, but
Yeah.
literally, I'd never
He's.
listened to the guy's music because I didn't respect him
Mhm,
up until recently, and then I heard his discography, and it's definitely like talented dude, really good music.
without a doubt.
Yeah.
So yeah, I you know I may have listened to somewhere between like maybe 20 albums this past quarter. Obviously, a lot different from the last couple quarters, and I'll totally address that. You know what I mean? Like I listened to like 50 albums in quarter one, quarter two,
Right.
each quarter. This one didn't get to as many, but I was looking back, right? I wanted to see if I could come up with a list of stuff that I didn't get to. And a lot
Mm-hmm.
of these albums I will admittedly say I didn't get to in their entirety either. That's another thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I got through 75% of each of the albums I have lists that we'll talk about. The ones that I didn't get to listen to at all, there wasn't really a long list. I feel like quarter three out of all the time spans that we've covered this year, there wasn't a lot of activity in rap. And I know that usually the end of the year is a big. All of a sudden we get album. I know in December and November are huge months for rap releases. I don't know why. Just like historically, I can remember some of my favorite albums coming out in December.
Yeah, I
Um,
remember 2017, I want to say, had a lot of big November, December releases
yeah.
that I liked.
So I definitely
Yeah, I'd agree this
anticipate that.
quarter, like it didn't seem like there was like a consistent stream of big albums that I wanted to check
Agreed.
out
Yes,
on like
yes.
every Friday or whatever. It was just like at the end of the 3 month period, I look back and I'm like, all right, I can quickly think of 5 albums, like kind of on one hand,
Yeah,
that I thought were relevant and
yeah, definitely.
we can talk about. So
Cool.
Detroit 2, solid. That's like
Yeah,
a I don't know if we've never really ranked or like given ratings to albums yet, but
yeah.
I want to say that that was the best release of this quarter. I'm just gonna
Okay.
just jump out and say that right now.
All right, cool. Yeah.
Um,
I'm gonna talk about my favorite album of this quarter, and I would say that Detroit 2 is two on that list for me for albums this quarter. But my
cool.
favorite by far, and such a shame with the nature of the situation. I think the best part of it is that we got so many songs when we got the deluxe version of the album I'm about to mention, but
Hmm.
that's pretty much it. Yeah, that sucks that that's going to be it. And that's Pop Smoke, man. Shoot for the stars, aim for the moon. I listened to
Mm.
this. This was dropped back in July or the 3rd of July. So right at the beginning of Q3.
Yeah.
And, Pop Smoke had passed back in, I think it was late January, early February. I can't quite remember when the home invasion was. But it was definitely anticipated. I was already getting into Pop Smoke a little bit. He had Dior out. Dior was hot for Q1, Q2.
Yeah, we mentioned it in the first podcast. I remember.
Yeah, Welcome to the Party was still popping off. When I listened to it the first time around, it was definitely packed with hits. I knew that, and I think I had not been exposed to Pop Smoke too much before that. I know he dropped Welcome to the Woo 2 at I think I can't remember when he dropped that actually, but there were a lot of good. I saved Invincible off of that. That was a great track. But then I got to this, and I definitely sat with the songs a little bit, and once I played them more and more, they're just so infectious. And the ones that I'll mention, I just put together a short list. For the
Hmm.
Night, probably my favorite track off the album with Lil Baby and
Definitely
DaBaby.
one of the more popular ones too.
Yeah,
You're not getting played a lot.
great verses. Lil Baby kills it. DaBaby kills it. And then Pop Smoke obviously has that, just undefinable quality about him.
Yeah.
Wet West Coast shit with Tyga and Quavo. Really love that. And then he flexes some of his singing chops on what you know about love. That was really good. And then finally we go back to the hard stuff with Get It On Me and Dior. And he definitely had that hit making element to him. I don't know who's on his team. I don't know who he works with. I don't even know who he's signed to. But I don't know if it was him writing this stuff, but just a really incredible body of work, I think. Shoot for the stars, aim for the moon. I don't know.
For
Did you get to listen to it more than once, or
yeah.
yeah?
For an
I
album with 19 tracks, it's very solid.
Yeah. I think for me the biggest thing was how many, and I mentioned this to you the other day, so many people are listening to this guy right now. I
Totally.
I
Yeah.
I haven't. I mean, aside from Juice World, right?
Hmm.
I know he also has a huge following, and
Yeah.
I would say that those are very parallel, actually. Um, but to have such a momentous uprise right after your death and still be super, this, if he was alive, this would be, his peak. This would be his coming out, and he's still, his team is still doing that for him, making that
Yeah.
happen, even though he's passed. I think that's so cool.
Oh, for
They're still
sure.
pushing. They're still pushing his stuff. As opposed to, if Dave East, I know we joke about this, but if
Oh
Dave
boy.
East had this guy's marketing team,
Yeah.
I, it's just so cool to see, his music get pushed to such a high level. So
True.
I,
No,
I
it's
think
great.
that I think that gets my number one vote for Q3. I just keep going back to these songs. I just
I mean,
keep
they
going
got a
back
very
to them.
particular sound to them. We've talked before about like the quintessential New York sound and how
Oh,
that's like
love that.
such a necessary, like essential part of hip hop culture. It's just New York rap because that's, for the most part agreed on the birthplace of rap.
Yeah,
And I was just there last weekend, and I told you, man, like I passed so many people that were bumping Pop Smoke. Like
unbelievable.
there's no other music that I heard repeatedly the same artist, like in different parts of the city. And you can understand why. I mean, like they've been saying, I know on the Joe Budden podcast they mentioned like he feels like the new 50 Cent, to New Yorkers
Yeah,
in many ways. I love that. For me that was one of the tracks I really liked on the album, The Woo, just because it was
yeah,
50 and Pop Smoke on it, and
yeah.
there
And
are
Roddy
so
Rich,
many
right?
parallels. Yeah,
Yeah,
and Roddy Rich. Yeah, it just feels like a very similar kind of come up, but it's like 2020. It's like 20 years later, so it's really cool to
yeah.
see that in like this whole new era. Personally, I saved 44 Bulldog and Gangsters, which are on the first half of the album.
Yes,
Um, I really like those. I felt like they had a bit of a grittier, grimier kind of sound
definitely.
to them.
Not so polished. Yeah.
Right. That I liked more. And then yeah, in terms of the sound of the album altogether, it did feel, especially like the first track. I thought it had like a epic. I know I overuse that word a lot, but
Arena
like a really
like.
epic arena,
Yeah.
like yeah,
Yeah.
like he really is, like, I don't know, rapping from the dead or something like that. Like it's a really
Oh,
cool
yeah.
sound that makes it stand out,
That
like
is
pop out,
that is
for lack
crazy.
of a better term, out of all the other music that might be coming out at
Yeah.
the same
Hmm.
time.
Interesting. I like that take.
And then one
Um.
other track I saved was Make It Rain with Rowdy Rebel.
Oh,
So yeah,
okay.
there's a
Yeah.
fair number of tracks that stood out on
Yeah. I
this.
couldn't. I like the sound of that track, but Rowdy's verse is like recorded on a phone because it's come from jail. I don't know. I can't get what I like. I get it, but I get why they put the track together. But um, I'll leave one more. Uh, I I want to finish this topic with one more thing. Is that going back to the whole New York thing. New York is such a hubbub for rap. You know what I mean? You got L.A., you got Chicago, you got Atlanta, you got New York. Right?
Yeah, those are the exact cities
Those are
they
the
hit in
ones.
Rhythm and Flow on Netflix.
But I think this year, in years past, it's been Atlanta. We've gotten immersed into the Atlanta culture.
Dude,
We
I'm pretty
had
sick of Atlanta rappers at this point.
it was just that was it for a little while. And I think this year specifically, at least for the impact that it's had on me, New York is the is who holds rap right now. I think,
Young M.A.'s album was pretty solid this year and last year.
Young M.A. I'm a big fan of Fabio Foreign. I
Right.
love the New York drill scene. I'm still waiting for someone to be long lasting,
Mm-hmm.
and Young M.A. might be one of those examples where they've been able to, and Pop
Yeah.
Smoke might have been one of those examples. But
Mm-hmm.
we just get snapshots of like these moments of New York. I feel like we get these viral videos, and that's one of Fabio's favorite taglines. Viral movie.
Viral.
He's always saying it. And I think that is part, like, New York is just like about moments, big moments. And I
Yeah.
think we get that a lot in the music. And right now they are shining. It's New York's moment. Like right now they hold the torch, I think.
It's good shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm always pro New York. I'm an East Coaster,
Me
so
too. Oh man, there's been so much cool stuff happening there. Like,
totally.
I follow the whole New York Nico, Side Talk New York. Like, I
I
just
mean,
such a
there's a
cool.
reason why they say if you can make it here, you can. If you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. you
Yeah,
know, you got so many people all trying to do the same thing and see who
exactly.
actually blows up. I
Yeah.
liked Karma 3 by Dave East. I know you're not a big fan, but I love the
Yeah.
sound of Karma 3. I just love Dave East's delivery. He just the way he lays down bars, it's just
I do too.
dangerous to me. I don't know. It's
I
really
think it's
dope.
very dangerous. I think he's got such a cool, so new, like you said, so New York. But
Oh yeah.
man, it stinks because I also respect artists who are businessmen too, and I
Mhm.
just don't think he is one. I
Right.
really
I
don't.
mean, I understand that's part of many reasons why like you're a big Drake fan is the guy's a great
Yeah.
businessman that
Mm,
has his
yeah.
longevity. You have to know what you're
You
doing
have
in
to
terms of
secure your spot. You know what I mean? Like, there is a
right.
game there. Russ. Somebody who always is like, oh, it's there is a very political aspect to the music industry,
Yeah,
and that's just simply you can't ignore it.
for
You
sure.
cannot ignore it.
I mean,
You got to.
if you wanna get your stuff out there and have people remember you, you can't ignore it.
Yeah.
Um,
Very few. There are very few instances that things just come across naturally like that.
yeah, you
Where
gotta go and get it.
you have to have, yeah, there is a real business side of things. So anyways,
True.
let's go
True.
on to another.
Well,
I'm
well,
glad we spent a lot of time talking about our two favorite albums,
right,
but why don't you get into something else for us?
for sure. I mean, I feel like it's worth since we're on the New York vein. I'll mention two New York albums.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned Karma 3, Dave East, two tracks that I think people should check out. I really enjoyed were Said What I Said and Menace. And I thought both were cool because it's the instrumental I want to say is a little bit different than what I'm used to from Dave East. Said What I Said is I don't know, maybe a little bit darker than usual, and it's got this guy named Doughboy. I mean, I
Oh, I
like it
like
when
Doughboy.
oh, okay. Yeah, no, I
DOE, right?
haven't. Yeah, yeah. Dark stuff we really like from East. But the other track was Menace and that had a like a chiller sound to it. Like you know the song The Recipe by
Yes. Kendrick.
Kendrick and Dre. It's not
Yeah.
similar. I don't really want to compare them, but it's got like a really dope like the second you hear the beat, you just want to like sit back and like chill.
Yeah.
And it's dope hearing that from somebody like Dave East, who is I wouldn't call like a chill rapper, you know.
Hmm.
But the instrumental was really cool. And it was nice hearing him on something like that. The other New York release we had was King's Disease by Nas.
Oh shoot, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I'd like to hear your take on this. I don't think I fully digested this one. I definitely
Okay.
listened to some of the standout tracks,
Mm-hmm.
the
I
singles.
li-
I know he had a few singles and some heavy features. I want to hear your take on the
I
tracks
just
that stood out.
I was just happy to hear Nas on an album where I didn't think like it was a weird, strange, oddly produced, badly fit, forgettable album. Because I feel like he's had way too many of those for a legendary rapper. Like
Okay.
Nas is always put up there with Biggie, with Tupac, with Jay-Z, with Eminem. Like he's always gonna be put on that pedestal, like that like A tier of all time, you know?
Yeah.
And so when he releases an album or anybody like them, you're just like, honestly, at this point, you're just like, please don't disappoint me. And this one, it didn't disappoint. Like I thought this album, if anything, it surprised me. I was like, I didn't know he was releasing one. I didn't know what to expect. I don't really like follow what's coming up next, so I like getting those kind of surprises. And my favorite track, I had a few, but 27 Summers is probably the illest track that really stood out to me because of the sound of it and the hook, just like, and the whole purpose of the song, which is him just saying like 27 summers of like being a legend. I don't know, in this rap
Yeah.
game, like let's
Yeah.
not forget how long I've been around, kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay.
And you think
Very
about that, like,
lyrical.
man, 27. No, not even actually. I like 27 Summers because of it had a. I wrote this down. It was one of the few notes I wrote down. 27 Summers has a Kanye production kind of feel. Like
Hmm.
imagine, uh, like a Yeezus type of vibe on it,
Okay.
but it's with the reputation of somebody more like Rakim than Kanye, which I think is a very unique approach, I guess, or perspective. Is hearing somebody on like a really artistic. I like the word ominous for the instrumental. Something that captures your attention, and then it's just like it's Nas who like came up with DJ Premier type beats and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And like historically, if he jumps into like a different type of instrumental, different kind of beat than what he's known to be on, it's kind of disastrous. It kind of sounds terrible, honestly.
Yeah.
Like sometimes it'll be a hit, but
But he did that a
oftentimes,
few times on the album, right?
yeah, yeah. I
You
mean,
know,
he played
he had the track with ASAP Ferg and Fabio Foreign, Spicy.
true, true.
That
Yeah,
was
that was
completely different. I'm
very,
trying.
very
I'm
different.
gonna pull up the track list real quick.
Yeah, I saved that one more honestly for the fact that it's these three guys. Like, what a
Very, yeah. It's
what a
like
New York team up, you know?
um
Pretty dope crossover.
and then the other one that was also in that same league was Replace Me with Big Sean and Don Toliver. Don Toliver, you've got this very kind of
Dude, Don Toliver was one of the highlights of Travis Scott's albums, I
yes,
thought. On
definitely. He's got that. I think of Don Toliver right now. He's kind of getting in that stratosphere of, Sway Lee in like 2018, 2017, where he was just the go-to hook
for
man. You know
features,
what I mean?
for hooks, yeah.
Yeah, he was just always on, either a feature or
That's
a
a good
hook.
boat to be on.
Yeah, yeah, no, yeah. Honestly, and
To get your name
usually,
out there.
yeah, he'll ride that. Most people they ride that wave for like a year and a half, and then, then they gotta kind of find their own way. But he's riding it right now.
True. I also like the Anderson .Paak's song, the one All Bad. Anderson .Paak was featured on.
All bad.
Um, I'm curious as
Oh,
to
oh
how
yeah.
that link up happened. I mean, I know
Well,
Anderson .Paak's huge since he got put on Dre's album on Compton,
yeah,
which is a while back. But it's still interesting. I guess I could see how they connect over like I guess more instrumental heavy, like I don't know, melodic stuff with richer production, I guess.
hmm
Plus like socially conscious lyrics and stuff like that. That was a good team up, but for some reason I guess I didn't expect that one either.
Anything else to highlight on there as far as the track list goes?
No, I mean I gotta give it some more listens, but overall just thumbs up from me.
Okay,
I
cool.
wouldn't say it was like my favorite. I didn't like love it. But for a Nas album, big fan.
Yeah, for
Definitely
me,
one
it
of my
gets
favorite
props that he,
Nas albums.
for someone who's, these guys who have been around 15, 20 plus years, you'll get the most respect out of me from when you know, try to merge your style with the style of the new guys. I appreciate that, and he did that. So I definitely liked some elements of the album. Um, but
For
you know
sure.
me, I do like a much newer sound. I tend to lean that way.
Right.
Um, the sounds of the late, just what I grew up on. The late 2000s, all 2010s, and now where we are. So sometimes listening to some of those older guys, it can sound a little outdated. you know, or I feel like I'm listening to like a period piece, you know what I mean? But no, I enjoyed some tracks off of this album, so it doesn't get the thumbs down for me or anything like that. Okay, cool.